Welcome to Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. My name is Joanne and I'm one of the Family and Community Health County Exchange Agents for Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, Hidalgo County. Today, on our walk and talk, we'll be talking about stress. What a walk and talk is I'll be presenting an educational presentation. Today's presentation is stress, and you'll be walking while I am presenting. So let's get started. Stress less, mind matters. Alright, let's talk about Philip Chang. It's a little story, so here we go. Philip Chang reflects on the day when stress almost killed him, literally. He was a rising star in a corporate world and was at a very successful period in his life. Philip's accomplishment came with a high price. His work was very stressful, and the way he handled that stress seriously impacted his health, leading to a health crisis that almost cost Philip his life. Since that episode, Philip has gone about reframing his work, not doing different work, but approaching work differently, specifically to remove stress. As a result, in that he is much more effective at his job. Here's how Philip got to that point. He was 32 years old, a coming leader, and a Fortune 500 company. At that time, he was running several projects that demanded working long hours and meeting tight deadlines. One project that he cared a lot about had to be dissolved because management could no longer provide the resources to complete the work. As a result, some of his project team members were let go. This letdown caused Philip to become extremely stressed and discouraged to the point that he wasn't sleeping or eating well. Because Philip had a deep sense of responsibility for his project team, the disappointment caused him to internalize a huge amount of stress. Philip recalls, "I used to believe that you solved every problem with your head. You just need to ramp up your focus and intensity. No problem was insurmountable if you could just think harder and work harder. But what I didn't realize is that constantly ramping up my intensity was compounding into serious negative effect on my health. And that almost killed me." While at work, Philip started to have chest pains and trouble breathing. He doesn't remember what happened next, but his coworker found him collapsed in the desk. Quick action by his coworker saved his life. When Philip arrived to the emergency room, his blood pressure was dangerously high, and he was physically exhausted to the point he couldn't sit up or stand. Philip recalls, "I woke up the next day and a different thing happened. One was that I didn't understand why I had become so stressed about all the things that I was stressed about, in what may have been my final moment. Those weren't the things that I really cared about. I mean, I cared about my projects, but not more than life itself." The awareness began Philip's radical change to take care of his health that continues today. It was an awareness of both how much we needed each other and the power of generously and kindly demonstrating that intelligence, problem solving, and effectiveness aren't the only skills that matter. Looking back, Philip had learned he needed to rethink his relationship with stress. He has realized stress limits the brain and leaves it unable to work as well. According to Philip, if you care about something, you must learn to stress about it less. That was an important realization. If I care about something, I need to learn how to relax about it so that I will be more effective. Phillips advised others that beyond stressing about his general workload, dwelling on the related risks and getting wrapped up in his thoughts of what could go wrong, a person can develop patterns of fear that start to seem normal. You get so used to being afraid that you start to accept it as a sign that you're working hard. "Oh, I got to give a big presentation, so I would be nervous." Ambitious people tend to think of life as a series of high-stakes projects. That's a dangerous thought process. We need to rewrite that thinking. Be mindful enough to shift some of that time you spend being anxious into a more expansive, relaxed, and creative mode that tends to produce better results. And if you can change your mind, in that way you have the control over your stress. Now, have you ever felt like Philip, being very stressed out to the point that you get sick or almost close to death? How often do you stress? Often? Sometimes? Seldom? Our day-to-day life can be stressful. However, having the mindset of controlling our stress through our mind can be helpful. You're not alone. If you feel stressed often, or if it's a major issue in your life right now, this is a national health problem. In a national study examining the role stress plays in Americans' life, A quarter of participants, which is 26%, reported experiencing a great deal of stress, with 37% experiencing some stress, and 23% not very much stress, and 14% little to no stress. People in poor health, 60%, are twice as likely as the general public as a whole to experience a great deal of stress. When asked about the things they do because of stress, the top 3 behaviors reports among participants who experience a great deal of stress are: they sleep less, which is about 70%, they eat less than normally, which is about 44%, they exercise less than they normally do, which is about 43%. Mankind would not have survived without stress. The flight or fight response is a brilliant way that our body responds to life-threatening situations. Early humans used stress to alert them of potential dangers, such as a woolly mammoth or other predators. Our caveman ancestors existed was primarily based on survival mode. In a flight or fight response, our body releases stress hormones, which one can be adrenaline, which gives us a rush of energy to either run away or fight. The heart pounding, heavy breathing, and surge of energy enables us to focus our attention on the situation to quickly respond. Once the danger is removed, our body returns to a balanced state, or homeostasis. In today's modern world, flight or fight mode could still help us, such as rushing to help someone who is in the path of a car. However, in our technology-driven society, our stresses are primarily psychological rather than physical. The challenge we have is when our body goes in a state of stress during inappropriate situations. When this happens, the blood flows to important muscles needed to flee or fight. The brain function is lowered. This can cause to not thinking clearly, which may hinder our ability to be effective at work or at home. If we remain in a state of stress for extended periods, it can be harmful to our health. High levels of cortisols can increase a person's blood glucose and blood pressure levels. People need some amount of stress to stay healthy, in fact. While our body craves homeostasis or a physical calmness, it also needs a physical stimulation to ensure that our organs are functioning well. This includes the heart and muscle system used during flight or fight situations. There are 2 types of stresses. One is the good stress. This is when people find a situation motivating, inspiring, or enjoyable, such as falling in love, receiving an award, or anticipating college graduations are some of these examples. Now you have the de-stress, which is a bad stress. De-stress is often short to stress. Negative stresses can vary from getting pulled over on the highway by a policeman to a life crisis such as death or a family member or a serious financial loss. Chronic stress or stress that lingers for a prolonged period of time can be threatening to a person's health. Stress changes a person in 3 areas of the health: cognitive or mental, emotional, and behavior. Cognitive examples include memory problems, poor judgment, unable to concentrate, or brain fog. Emotional can include moodiness, anxiety, fatalistic thinking, panic, frustration, depression. And here are examples of some physical, which are some lower immunity system, chest pains, rapid heartbeat, aches and pain, frequent quotes, skin irritation, indigestion, high blood pressure. And here are some behaviors such as increased intake in alcohol, cigarettes, or caffeine to relax, sleeping too little or too much, unmotivated, isolating yourself from others, loss of sense of humor, overeating, or not even eating. Unmanaged and prolonged stress can lead to a poor health. Become aware of the stress-related changes is important to prevent illness and long-term health. List things that stress you out. Stress is a part of life. Stress is not avoidable, but it's manageable. Identifying stress-related problems as early as possible is a key action to lower your risk for serious stress-related illness. Our response to stress is under our control. One strategy is to examine our thoughts. Stress begins in our mind and our reaction to stressful situations. Cognitive restructuring and reframing is a coping skill most promoted by health professionals. This method goes to the heart of the problem, changing your stressful perception of the situation that caused you to experience feeling fear, angry, or other negative emotions, controlling your thinking, so stressful situations don't automatically lead to stress. Thinking this is an effective way to cope with stress. Cognitive is a person's mental process, which includes thinking and reasoning skills. The cognitive restructuring method involves positive changing your mind frame to a less threatening, negative perception to a positive one, which will allow for a peaceful solution. For example, rethinking a self-doubting negative attitude to a self-confident positive mindset. It is necessary to work with a counselor, therapist, or psychologist to practice cognitive restructuring. Rethinking your thinking. Focus on replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts is a coping strategy that can be practiced at home. Cognitive reframing involves a simple 4-stage process. Each step has a question that will lead you to a solution to reframe your thinking. Step number 1, identify the situation. Step number 2, assess your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and behavior. Step 3, challenge your disordered thoughts. Step 4, develop a balanced, alternate thought. Thoughts, emotions, or feelings, and behaviors all interact to cause a certain outcome. Thoughts can be disordered, self-doubting, and unhealthy. Examples of a negative thoughts are, I can never get this right, this situation cannot be changed, or I am a failure. Emotions or feelings including worry, frustration, anxiety, and fear. You may also experience body sensations such as fatigue, low energy, and upset stomach. Now here's a behavior. Behaviors are how you react to the situation. This can be taken out of your frustration on another person or possibly binge eating. Let's look at a case study to better understand cognitive reframing. Sarah's supervisor emails her to come to his office later that day. She immediately feels threatened and her heart starts racing. Her palms feeling clammy and cold. Sarah immediately thought were, I know he doesn't like my quality of work, and it's my fault for not working longer hours. Sarah was not able to focus on work in the afternoon and she lost her appetite at lunch. In her visit with her supervisor, Sarah finds out she was worried for nothing. Her supervisor thanked her for her hard work and asked if she would agree to take lead on an important project. Now let's apply the cognitive restructuring steps to Sarah's situation. What was the situation? The situation was that the supervisor asked her to come to his office later that day. What were Sarah's thoughts? I'm not a good employee. I can't do anything right. Were her thoughts based on facts? No. Sarah's supervisor did not email anything that stated that. How can she change her thinking? Be more confident. Let's practice. It's your turn to practice cognitive restructuring. For example, think of a situation that happened today or the past week. Use an event that refreshes on your mind, which the details of it clear. Now, answer these questions. What were your thoughts? What were your feelings? What were your body sensations? Now, next step is to challenge your negative thinking. This is a mental exercise to examine the thought you wrote in step number 2. Is the thought true or based on facts? As a final step, write a positive, balanced thought to reframing your thinking. Cognitive restructuring takes practice, but in time you will find that this coping strategy will help you adopt a more positive outlook on life. While we can't control many of our life situations, we have the power over our thinking. If you care about something, you must learn to stress less about it. This was something that Philip mentioned. For Philip, this began with changing his thinking about his job and personal relationships. In which way can changing your thinking help you with things you enjoy, your work, or relationships? Nothing is so important that it should cause you to become overstressed and affect your health. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And how many steps did you walk? Have a great day. Until next time. Bye.